We are back on Inside Politics. Our guest today, analyst Chip Saltsman from the Republican side and Larry Woods from the Democratic side. We're talking the 2020 election. Larry, the courts have ruled in Tennessee, at least for now, that fear of the virus is a good reason to be able to ask for an absentee vote and vote by mail. But the matter's still in court. The Supreme Court may have a different ruling about that by the November election. That could hurt the Democrats in terms of their turnout here in Tennessee, couldn't it?
Well, it could have some impact. I think, we saw it in Wisconsin when the same kind of issue came up a month or two ago on the Wisconsin elections, and the U.S. Supreme Court finally said, no, we're not going to delay it. We're not going to give you expanded ways to cast your ballot. And wow, we all saw it on TV. Folks turned out and stood in line for hours, because they were angry about it. So I'm not sure that the court rulings will have any material significant effect on the outcome of any elections at this point. Now, maybe on a local level, local races might be different. We need to do better on our voting. Both major parties have a history of trying to suppress voter turnout. Historically, both parties have sinned on this at different times. We need to make this easy for everybody. We ought to register every high school senior. We ought to have voting election days on Saturdays and Sundays when most people are off from work. We ought to let anybody vote by written absentee ballot that wants to. I think, as old as I am in my lifetime, I think most of that's coming. Faster we can get there, the better, I think.
Chip, the biggest impact Tennessee's likely to have on the presidential election this fall is the presidential debate that's scheduled for Belmont University. Do you believe that debate will happen? And what impact will it have? Is it going to be a tough situation for Joe Biden? He'll have to get out of his basement to come to this. And will the media be on the outlook for some kind of gaffe or something to see what he does? And is this President Trump's best chance to get back in the race through these debates?
Well, look, there's no question that we're running a bit behind. There's a couple of hard opportunities in the next 100 days that are very important to any presidential campaign, and the three debates are at the top of that list. And so the president needs to make sure that we have those debates. I'm sure Joe Biden's folks are going to try to figure out every reason not to. But I don't think the vast majority of independents that ultimately will decide this election are going to allow a major presidential candidate not to debate going into a November election. The American people want to see the debate, regardless of where you are. You may love or hate somebody, but you want to see the debate because you want to see two people on that stage debating ideas about the future of this country. And that's important to the democracy.
Larry, Joe Biden's first big thing to do in the next couple of weeks is to name his running mate. Do you expect him to do that right away, or do you think he'll wait closer to the convention? And who's it going to be?
He has been saying he would announce in August. It's always possible to change that schedule, of course, because he's held it all pretty close to the vest. The articles I read in the news media about who the favorites are never sound to me like it's coming from the insiders in the Joe Biden circle. So I think it's still pretty wide open. If I were a betting man, I'd probably bet on Kamala Harris, the United States Senator from California. But that's strictly a guess. I don't think Biden's holding his cards very closely on this.
Chip, do you think it matters who Joe Biden picks or any presidential candidate picks anymore for their running mate? There's no regional reason for that anymore. There used to be, but it's to balance the ticket. But what's it do now?
Yeah, well, look, we always say, does it matter or not? People say it doesn't matter. Some people say, oh, my gosh. Dick Cheney would probably tell you in 2000 his 3 electoral votes in Wyoming were the difference of getting elected or not. I think it does matter.
So was Vermont, but anyway.
That's right. So was Tennessee, as you remember. So
it hurts.
It really does matter in the sense of you've got a 78-year-old nominee who may, is obviously, we'll see what kind of health he's in, but 78 years old. The vice president is going to represent the next generation of the Democrat Party. So I think what you're going to see is that matter just a little bit more to the energy level of the Democrat Party. And if he goes with, again, it pains me, I now agree with Larry twice. I do think it's Kamala Harris. But if you get an Elizabeth Warren or somebody that's kind of the same generation of Joe Biden, I think it's going to kind of deflate the energy level of the Democrat base a little bit. Now, obviously, their hate for Trump stokes the fire pretty heavy, but I think it's going to be more important this year than usual.
Very quickly for both of you, as we close out, polls seem to indicate not only a blowout for Joe Biden over the president, but also the Democrats taking the Senate and perhaps adding seats in the House. Is that going to be the case, or is this race going to be so close we're back to battleground states and one or two will make the difference? Chip?
Easy answer. 100 days ago, nobody thought Dr. Mania was going to be in this race too, and here we are. Look at where we are 2 weeks. This race is going to tighten. We're going to get more traditional battleground states. It's going to be about Ohio. It's going to be about Florida, and I think it's going to be tightened up. And I think the president wins re-election by a slim margin.
What do you think, Larry? The Democrats thought they were going to win in 2016, but it wound up they stubbed their toe in some battleground states in the Midwest. Are we in that same situation again, or is this going to come out to be a realigning elections, as they call it?
This election is all about Trump, meaning that Joe Biden's going to win. And I think we pick up Senate seats in Maine, Arizona, Colorado, North Carolina, and therefore probably get the Senate by at least one vote. It would be great. I hope.
Larry Woods and Chip Saltsman, thank you so much for joining us this week. You guys always bring so much to the show, your insights, your analysis, and we do appreciate you coming on the show and being with us this week. We thank you as well for joining us on Inside Politics this week. Hope you'll be back here again for a future show. If you can't get enough politics in the meantime, go to News Channel 5 website. You'll find my Capitol View commentary there. There's a new commentary posted every Friday afternoon. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, and we'll see you back here next time. Goodbye.